My name's Jim Holland. Nancy and I met in 1990. We were working together at a office in Baton Rouge. We got married 3 or 4 years later in 1993. Had our first son, Dane, in 1997, our second son, Chance, in 1999. Heart health was never that much in my family or across my mind. My dad did have a quadruple bypass when he was in his 60s. But outside of that, heart health was not really something that impacted our family that significantly.
I was at dinner with some friends, and at that time I was a sophomore in high school, and I texted my mom that I was going to Martin City Pizza, and she didn't respond. This was probably like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I texted her saying I was going to Martin City Pizza. She did not respond, and honestly, I got a weird feeling in my, just because she'd always respond within a couple minutes saying, okay, be safe, love you, any of that. It didn't seem real.
I was actually running a little late on my curfew, and usually my parents called me immediately if I wasn't home right that second. It felt like I was on the worst roller coaster ride of my life, and I just wanted to get off.
We see ambulances coming in, we see police running into the restaurant, and it still never crosses my mind, gee, maybe something's wrong with Nancy. And our neighbor who we were with got up and said, I'm gonna go check on Nancy, and about 20 seconds later came running back and said, Jim, come quick, it's Nancy. I ran back there, and the first thing I see is Nancy's on the floor in the bathroom, and they were shocking her to try and get her heart beating again.
I didn't think any kind of heart problems would affect me. I had low blood pressure, I had low cholesterol, I exercised, I was thin, I never smoked, rarely drank, and thought I was living the clean life. On January 17th, 2015, my husband and I and some neighbors had gone to dinner at a restaurant in Leawood. We ordered the salad. I remember taking a couple of bites of the salad and just kind of pushing the salad over to my husband and said, I'll be right back. Went to the ladies' room and just went down with a cardiac arrest.
Our neighbor who we were with got up and said, I'm gonna go check on Nancy, and about 20 seconds later came running back and said, Jim, come quick, it's Nancy.
Luckily for me, there was a lady in the restroom with me. She knew something was wrong and immediately went out and called for help. The young restaurant manager, he was 25 years old at the time, he knew CPR.
That restaurant manager is Richmond Carson. He's our angel. Richmond immediately went in and started doing CPR on Nancy, and at that time he was not only doing the hands only CPR, he was trying to do mouth to mouth as well, and of course Nancy was covered in blood because when she fell, she had bit through her tongue and hit her face, and so she's covered in blood.
I never in a million years thought it was going to be something with my heart. I was told by my cardiologist that out of 100 people who have cardiac arrest outside of a hospital, 90 do not survive. Of the 10 that do survive, over half of those will have irreversible neurological damage. CPR is a life-saving skill. Learning CPR that one afternoon gave my kids years with their mom, and because of that, I've gotten to see high school graduations. I've gotten to see them both fall in love for the first time. I will get to see one graduate from KU in just a couple of months, all because of Richmond.
Ever since Nancy's 2015 event, we have been trying to check off bucket list items. One of our bucket list items, particularly Nancy's, was to go to Bora Bora.
It was supposed to be this vacation of a lifetime. It was our 25th wedding anniversary cruise, and then on night 3, we were actually docked in Bora Bora, and we were going up to dinner, and I walked up one flight of stairs.
Nancy all of a sudden said, "Gosh, I don't feel good. I feel like I pulled something in my chest." She says, "You need to get the doctor up here." And the doctor plugs Nancy up to the EKG, and he says, "Yeah, you're having a heart attack."
We were in Bora Bora, and something that I didn't know about Bora Bora was that they do not have a hospital. This was happening at night, and they were explaining to us that Tahiti does not do medevac during the middle of the night. They will only fly during daylight hours. So we're going to basically try to keep you alive through the night, and at first light, we will get you a flight back to Tahiti. 24 hours later, I had a more massive heart attack, and they took me into the cath lab. It ended up being close to a 3.5-hour procedure. I remember when I came out of the cath procedure that I looked at my husband and I said, "I really don't think I'm going to make it through the night."
When we were on the boat, headed to the airport to get on the medevac plane, we're saying goodbye to each other.
I really did think that I was going to pass away before I could get to Tahiti. And when the plane finally lifted up into the sky, I remember looking out the window. I was laying down on a stretcher and looking out the window and seeing the clouds go past me. And I honestly, for a moment, thought, are we really in the air now? Or is this how going to heaven looks like? When I came home, went to see my cardiologist, and he even said, he says, "I think you have something called SCAD, spontaneous coronary artery dissection." I learned that there is no cure for SCAD. I was told by Mayo that this may never happen again, or it could happen this afternoon.
SCAD typically occurs in a profile of a person that you would not expect a heart attack in. People that are typically very healthy, usually more females than men, usually younger ages. If we were to find a cure for SCAD, especially through the funding that's provided through American Heart Association and the support provided to them, I think that would provide a tremendous peace of mind for people. They wouldn't have to worry about the long-term consequences or where they might be or taking a trip and wondering if something else might happen to them.
I've grown so much as a person just in this last 9 months, and she is responsible for a lot of that growth, and if she had never come back, that wouldn't have happened.
It doesn't even make sense to think about what it'd be like if she wasn't here. I can't imagine what it'd be like, and there's not an hour that goes by that I don't think about her or think how grateful I am that she's here.
A donation to the American Heart Association represents a possible cure for me. It represents the opportunity that I would get to see my children get married, that I would get to be there when grandchildren are born, that maybe I'll get to see them walk down the aisle someday. It represents hope, and it represents a cure.